once again, man, somebody I've been looking for a long time to get on my platform just to have I really just want to have a conversation with the brother, man, because his depth of the music is so strong and his respect for the game is so heavy, which it bleeds into how he does his business and how he carries himself, man. So I'm blessed this evening to have Jeck Da General in the building one time.
Man, I appreciate the love and the acknowledgement, man, because, for many people in this business, I feel like it's a little bit harder for them to show appreciation because of pride and ego.
Right.
I mean, like, you're a DJ. Like, to me, I think the DJ should take the battle first because in hip-hop, the DJ brought forth the MC who controlled the crowd, the master of ceremony. Right. That's what an MC stood for. That's what he really did. And then once that became more important, then it came about bars and elevation of the mind and all of those things and the elements of hip-hop. Right. So
before we jump deep into it, man, it warms my heart to hear somebody that raps that obviously is a real MC who actually acknowledges that the birth of the music and the birth of the essence of our culture is something good. You know what I'm saying? Because what I hear a lot of times nowadays, man, people, they jump past all of the important stuff and they get right to the gutter stuff. Because I think a lot of times, look, there's a time and place for all that, but sometimes, man, I think a lot of newer artists who don't know the history,
correct,
it manifests itself in what they're producing.
Well, I believe that's because of the lack of history they understand of the art.
Right.
And not actually going to where it's from to understand where it comes from.
Right.
You go to Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx and you're going to see that it was born in a project building.
Right.
So at first, it was about not trying to have your mind in the projects.
Right.
Your reality was the projects.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to think outside of the box. So they were having house parties and they were just getting hype. Like right there, Kool Herc put it together and the neighborhoods just took it off from right there and jumped it off. Right. But a lot of I believe the problem stems from is once the 80s took hold, and we were kids, like we were young, so our uncles and everybody, they was with it. We were just like, ooh, what's this they on? Yeah. And it made me become a student because my stepfather DJ, my cousin Cornell DJ, my uncle Bobby Terry T Sounds. I was around the music, so I was like, oh man, I gotta write, I gotta pay attention. But then I seen what it was. They took the street look and stuck it on rappers that wasn't talking necessarily about the streets until you get to the message, which was different because the message was one of the first street songs that actually, it was clean, but they were talking about their environment. So as that progressed into the late 80s, I believe that became more the forefront to focus on more of the street dude and less the image because most of the dudes rapping were entertainers. The real street dudes, like, yeah, they go see Dougie Fresh. They come in the party. Right. He wasn't no gangster.
Right.
He wasn't no thug. He was, he could dance. He made everybody move. Like, it was a thing of stature to go party with them.
Yeah.
So that's where I believe that come from, just from my observations as a kid growing up.
Man, look, I can do this all night. I can do this all night. Finally, somebody really understands the essence of our culture, where it comes from, man. So, all right. So, real quick, man, tell the people that don't know you, tell the people where you from and how you got into hip hop.
Okay, I'm from this little dot on a Virginia map from Culpeper, Virginia.
Right.
It's a black community, primarily from where we see it, because where we grew up, when we were younger, it was like that. Hip hop became prevalent in my life when I was maybe 5. My stepfather, my uncle used to rap Count Cool Out, rest in peace, and I used to just hear him do his, 2 years ago. I would be like, okay, like, we little, we doing a little dances trying to keep up with him, but I was like, for some reason, I think I like this a lot.
Yeah.
So my mother, she always knew I liked to tinker on stuff. She bought me a little keyboard, so I had my first little Casio with the drum pads, and I would try.
Had that same
keyboard. Everybody had that keyboard with the big knobs on it. Yeah, it was a toy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So I just more and more I just liked it, and I mean, being from a small area that we from, like, we were in the shadows of the DC metro area, but it was so at home with Go-Go being there, being such a big thing, and me living by Cross Creek, I live beside a nightclub.
Yeah.
My grandmother cooked there. My grandfather used to go there and do the plumbing. So I be sitting there behind a DJ booth and gunshots popping. Like, get down, baby. They doing that. And fools acting stupid again. Like, that's how I grew up. So I'm like, I absorbed all of that. And it was like, me, I'm the kind of person that absorbs my environment. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's one of my gifts, I think.
You know, I don't cut you on, man, but I don't think a lot of people realize. I've had this conversation with I've been with a couple people from Culpeper, man, and I don't think people realize how wild it was. You know, back in those days. It is. You know, and there's more guns now, so there's more guns everywhere. You know
that in a sense, I don't think it's that it's more guns. I think it's just more reckless uses of it. Like, ever since we was kids, everybody had guns. I was just like, damn, does everybody got a hammer?
Yeah.
Like, everybody had a hammer.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, like, to get to answer your question with the hip-hop thing, though, like, hearing my Uncle Bobby produce for people and then, you know, kidding me around, wanting me to rap and mess around, like, it just made me want to get more serious about it. Plus, I seen this, you know, watching MTV raps and watching BET, man, all day long when you on your days off, and then having brothers and sisters from New York, and then going back and forth to the city when BET was still in Northeast, and going where it was and seeing people out there trying to rap.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. So that's where it just never let go of me, man.
Yeah. So when did you spit your first rhymes?
Oh man,
I gotta go there, man. You're an MC, man. So everybody gotta answer that question.
Yo,
so you said you were doing your thing in school plays and all that type of stuff.
Well, what happened was they was like, you need to write something that you could perform, like a little skit. And I'm like, you mean write a rap? Like, I done, freestyle in the car with my uncle, riding around with them back when they were partying. They were like, man, go ahead, nephew, say something. And I just try to say something dumb. I said, you know what? All right, cool. So I wrote it.
Yeah.
And then I rapped it. They was like, oh, that was nice, Dwayne. I was like, man, what? It's nice. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to write something else. I wrote something else. And then my grandparents, who made us faithfully appear in church, on the front row.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a reverend doctor. My grandma was an evangelist. No ducking the smoke.
Right.
Everybody had to go. Mom, my aunts, everybody had to show up. So my grandmother seen me write a rap one day. It was the Public Enemy. She didn't know what I was writing to. And I was not trying to let her know, but I'm like...
Which Public Enemy joint?
It was the It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back album. So Don't Believe the Hype was on, and I'm trying to write a rap. Now I'm like 6 or 7. I was young. So she was like,
that's some heavy stuff for somebody 7, man.
Well, that's we're going to get into this.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I was like, all right. So she's like, I want you to write a rap about Jesus, son. I want you to write a rap and talk about bring him to the church. So I didn't want to come off soft because I'm listening to all this hard rap.
Yeah.
So I was just talking about, like, you better get your ass to church. My grandmother laughed. She was like, boy. She was like, so my whole song was basically about that. But I mean, growing up around the knuckleheads that I witnessed, it just went south from there. It went straight period of time between then and that where I didn't want to start rapping about what I saw, and it never stopped.
So a lot of this kind of merged together. So were you really getting serious around when you started actually rhyming about stuff you were really conscious about? Was it after Public Enemy, before NWA, or do you remember?
Well, I remember I was in probably 4th or 5th grade, and that was about the time period.
Yeah.
So, like, literally, I never stopped.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like, this was going on. Like, we, back in the day when people were marching, I remember when the riots happened at Adams Morgan, like, we was young, but I wanted to rap about all of that.
Yeah.
And plus experiencing certain things, like racism early, like having people saying stuff inappropriate, and you asking your grandparents, like, what did that mean? And then they telling you, and then you getting a little mad because you figured it out. And then I was like, then the first 2 rappers, so actually first 3 rappers I looked up to. And this is what carved the whole thing. It was Cool G Rap. I'm going to say Chuck D.
Right.
And then Cube. When Cube came with what he brought, it's like I understood.
You official, we can shut it down right now, man.
I understood it.
Right.
I mean, I like KRS-One. KRS-One, I actually met KRS-One last year.
Yeah.
and lunch with him. It was great. And I was like, yo, you owe me some bars. I told him to his face. Yo, you owe me for all the support.
Yeah.
Since my philosophy. But then, you know what I'm saying, Big Daddy Kane was the first punchline rapper. Put a quarter in your mouth because you played yourself. I never forgot that line. I was like, what? Ooh.
You know, it's funny, man. Me and my homeboy that I was just talking about, we talk about these pivotal moments, these seminal moments in the history of the music, man. And you just brought up 4 names that solidified the trajectory of the music.
The Juice Crew, completely. They shaped the entire. What you hear now is because of the Juice Crew. Period. Master Ace included. It wouldn't be no. I said it on film. No Eminem without Master Ace. Look it up. I didn't make it up.
Yeah, and I feel bad because and again I always feel bad because I you know how it is, man. When you continue, I am. You know, I'm gonna do a video about this, and all of this ain't gonna be on tape. I just like talking to you, man. But
well, that's cool. I mean, you can put it all. I mean, I'm gonna make sure you don't have nothing wasted. You good? You can just let it rock. Be good.
This is what I'm saying, right? I'm an academic, right? So I've been to a bunch of colleges, but I have knowledge of self. So I understand that college is not for everybody, but education should be for everybody.
Education should be for all of us.
You know what I'm saying? So and what bothers me is that people act like this stuff is none of that stuff happened. Like that whole era that you lived in, that you were fed all of the wisdom that you have in you. It's like to a whole bunch of people, it never happened. And look, and I'm gonna tell you, it ain't just young people. It's people because underground music has never been popular to the masses. You know, because they always said it was garbage. They always said they didn't even check for it.
No.
People now they want to write down that Kool G Rap is one of the greatest rappers in the history of hip hop. But nobody was saying that then. Except us.
Except for us. and underground, like in my mind, was the art. It was the culture, and that's what I was drawn to. And believe it or not, I went on a journey as an MC myself to discover. That's the reason I do it.
Yeah.
I try to fit in with the masses. I'm like, you know what? I need to go for records that can cross over and do whatever, but still keep it me. And I realized that I felt like I was selling myself short. I'm like, man, it's becoming more of a job. Now, I mean, who wants to go to their job every day? So you go perform, it's like, yeah, okay, let's go party, because I didn't really feel, you didn't feel it. But then one day, I felt like this, I can't even explain, it was a feeling like, bruh, why do you do this? All these years, the penitentiary chances you took to make it happen, why? And then an old record played in my mind. I said, yo, that's why.